Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is another recording on the topic called VAT or VAT. It could be chapter 7 in your book, chapter 5, chapter 4, chapter 3. I just use any random chapter. Now, I also have created this exercise, which I think will be very good in giving you the clarity on the question or the topic of VAT. We are to complete the following VAT table based on sales. That means it is based on the product that we have already bought from the supplier, and now we are about to sell this product to our customer. How then do we account for VAT? We have different scenarios, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scenarios or examples that I will be using to explain the dynamics of VAT, unpacking the topic to the full understanding of all students. Now, the VAT currently is levied at 15%. I, however, do have another VAT question, similar table when VAT was levied at 14%. You can still watch that video. The principle is the same. It's only the VAT percentage that was at 14%. Then now, just to give you the clarity of the question, we are given, I want to begin with the second column. We are given the cost price of the product, and it says exclude VAT, meaning exclusive of VAT or exclude VAT. Then now, what is the cost price? The cost price, it is the cost we have incurred to buy the product from our supplier. Then obviously the input VAT has been removed in the context of the VAT vendor. So this is the price that the business has incurred or has paid for to buy this product. And we know that we are in business in order to make what you call a profit. That is the purpose of the business. It is to make profit. That means we buy a product at a cost price. We add something. That something is what you call the markup percentage. Hence, I wanted to start with the second column. So in other words, we buy a product at this price. We add a certain percentage on it in order for us to make profit. That means we are going to sell our product at a price higher than the price we bought it for in order for us to make profit. So in other terms, we can say that the markup, which is the markup percentage, if I may to add in the markup percentage, it is the profit percentage. It is the profit percentage. The percentage that will be your profit before you deduct other expenses. So now let us take that one a little bit further. So we do have our profit, and remember again, our profit exclude VAT. Then after, we are going to have what is called a selling price, and this is before or exclude VAT, meaning how much will be our selling price before VAT has been added. Then after, we have the VAT percentage, which is 15%. That will lead us to the VAT amount. Then that will give us the selling price after VAT has been added. Now, let me begin with my explanation of the markup percentage and the VAT. Now, in this case, it's not only VAT, but it also includes the markup percentage on the cost price of a product. Now, as I began previously with the second column, I will still begin with the second column. We have the cost price. And our cost price, I want to mention that the amount before you add any percentage is 100%. Now, we are to add a markup percentage. Our markup percentage is 10%. So now if we add our 10%, this is going to give us 110%, or the profit on the sale of this product. Now, in other words, after we have added 10%, this is going to give us 110%. Because we added the 10%, which is the 10% of the markup. Therefore, now this will give us 110%. So that means our selling price will be 110%. I just want to put the plus on this side. This is 10%. Remember that 10% I said the profit. So now that means our selling price will be 110%. It is after we have added the 10%. We said cost price plus 10%. This gives us 110%. There, the cost price, which is the amount, the 10%. In this case, it is the markup. When the markup, it is at 10%. In other words, we are dealing with the first scenario on the table, or first row in the table. In the first row, we are given a markup of 10%. The cost price of the product, which is the price we paid, or the amount we paid to buy the product, is 100 Rand. Then we need to know how much is the profit if the markup is 10%. Remember, VAT remains the same. Therefore, now how much will be the selling price? The selling price will be the cost plus the profit. That will give us the selling price. Then after we add VAT of 15%, this will be the selling price that includes VAT. The previous selling price does not include VAT. Now let us go together. Let us go together. Now we have the amount of the 100 Rand, which is 100 Rand times by 0.10. Then 0.10 will give us 10 Rand. So that means we are going to make a profit of 10 Rand on the sale of this product. How is that going to happen? Remember, we have now 110%. Here is our 110%. 110 is 110 divided by 100. That is 1.1. So in other words, instead of us saying 100 Rand plus 10 Rand is equal to 110 Rand, we can just say 100 Rand times by 1.10, which is 1.10%, the 1.10% that we have in there. So now if we say 100 Rand times by 1.10, it gives us straight the amount of the selling price, which is 110, after the 10 Rand, which is 10%, was already added. So now that is the very straightforward percent. Remember I said the amount before you add a percentage is 100%. So the cost price was 100%, we added 10%, then it became 110%. So we can just say cost price times by 110%. This will give us the selling price after 10% was added on the cost price of the product. So now we can just say 100, as you see in the calculator, times by 1.1. Remember 1.1, I did show you that it is 110. 110 divided by 100. This is 110%. It gives us 1.1 in terms of decimal. That is 1.1 is 1.10. 110 divided by 100 equals 1.1. So when we multiply the 100 by 1.1, it gives us 110. We say 100 times by 1.1 or 1.10 is equal to 110. So now this is the selling price of the product before VAT is included. So now that means when we sell the product, we are going to we are going to sell the product at 110 rands. So that is what will be the selling price that we are going to recognize as our sales income in our books. Now we have to add VAT because in this example we are recording or calculating the selling price for a VAT vendor. Now I said to you in the beginning, and I want to repeat this again, that an amount before you add a percentage, that amount is 100%. So now we have the selling price, the amount of 110, and we need to add 15% of VAT, or calculate 15% of VAT. So in simple terms, we change that 110% of the selling price into becoming 100% again, because now we are going to be adding another percentage. So now any amount before you add the percentage, it is 100%. So now in other words, we are saying this 110 is 100%. Have that at the back of your mind. Although we know that this amount is 110% when we speak of the markup, but currently it is 100% before we add the 15% of VAT. So we need to calculate the amount of VAT. Remember, the selling price is before or does not include VAT or exclude VAT, which means exclusive of VAT. So now what do? We say 110 times by 0.15. Remember, 0.15 is 110 times by 15 over 100. So now that will be 16 rand 50 cents. In other words, we say it's 15 over 100. This is 15%. 15 over 100 is 0.5. So now that is where that 110 times by 0.15 comes from. We multiply 110 rand by 15%, it gives us 16 rand 50 cents. So the amount of VAT is 16 rand 50 cents. Now we are going to say selling price before VAT plus the VAT amount. This will give us the selling price after VAT has been added. So this will be plus 110. That means our product is going to be sold at 126 rand 50 cents at a selling price excluding VAT. So now this will be the amount that the customer will pay. This is the price the customer will pay. The customer will pay this price. But in our books, we are going to record this as our sales income. The amount of 16 rand 50 cents is the VAT that we are collecting on behalf of SARS. So now this is what we call the VAT output, which is from the sales of the product. We are collecting this on behalf of SARS. In our books, this will be our income, but the customer is going to pay the full 126 rand 50 cents. But on our side, we are going to divide that and say part of that 126.50 is due to SARS, which is 16 rand 50 cents. Then the other one is our selling price or sales income in our books. Now, again, obviously, I have to take it from the percentage perspective once again. Now, we had the amount of 110, which is 100% before we add 15%. That means if we say 100 plus 15, it gives us 115. So now, in other words, we are saying 100 plus 15%. That means our selling price is 115%. The selling price, remember, is inclusive of VAT. So the selling price that is inclusive of VAT is always out of 115%. Why? Because we added 15% on the amount of the selling price, which was 100% before 15% of VAT was added. So now we said 100% selling price plus 15%, then that gave us 115%. So now if we want to calculate from the selling price before VAT up to the selling price after VAT, we can do that without having to show that 16 rand 50 cents calculation. How can we do that? We'll have to say 115 divide by 100. We want this in a decimal. It will be 115 divide by 100. This gives us 1.15. Remember, in other words, that 215 is 1.15. Now we can just say 110 times by 115 divided by 100. If you want to take it the bit longer way, it gives you, it will be 110 times by 115 divided by 100. This gives us 126.50. It goes straight from the selling price before VAT. We include VAT in our calculation and we jump straight to the selling price after VAT was added, because we have added the 15% in order for us to get to that 1.15 or 115%. Now that will be the very easy approach. Now at the same time you can say 110, which is selling price before VAT, times by 1.15. The 1.15 in there times by 1.15, that will give us 126.50. Now it is very crucial to master all this principle going forward. Now let us use the same approach and we go backwards. In other words, now we are saying we already do have the selling price after VAT was included, this amount. Now how can we jump from here and we calculate the amount of VAT, which is the 16 rand 50 cents. So we're moving from here into here. We want to know how much will be the amount of VAT. Moving from the amount that is inclusive of VAT to the VAT amount. We are calculating the VAT amount from the 126.50, which already include VAT. So we are going to say 126.50 times by 15, because we are looking for VAT and VAT is 15%. Divide by 115. Why are we dividing by 115? Is because the amount we're multiplying by, which is the 126, is out of 115. So we divide by the percentage of the amount that we have. So that's why we divide by 115. This gives us immediately the 16 rand 50 cents. I hope now you see we are calculating the amount of VAT on the amount that is inclusive of VAT. So always you do that. You say 126 times by 0.50 times by 15, because we are looking for the VAT, which is 15%, but this VAT is calculated on the amount that is out of 115%. And we know that this is out of 115% because we added 15% to that 100%, which was 110 rand in terms of the amount. So now this gives us exactly 16 rand 50 cents, which is the VAT amount. Remember, once again, when we calculate this from the 110, we use the different calculation. We say 110 times by 15 over 100, or 0.15. When we're calculating the VAT amount, we just say 110 times by 15%, it gave us 16 rand 50 cents, because we are calculating 15% of 110. Now it is very simple. 110 times by 0.15, or 15 over 100, in order for us to get to 15% of 110. But now 15% has already been added in this 126. So now we can say 126 times by 15 over 100 here, if we want to calculate the VAT amount, because it is already inside. The 15% is already inside. We want to take that 15% out, or retrieve that 15% out in there. So now hence we are not saying times by 15 over 100. We did that when the amount was exclusive of VAT. But when the amount is inclusive of VAT, we always say whatever the amount is, times by 15 divided by 115. So now we want the 15% out of the amount that is 115%. That gave us 16.50. And once again, remember I said before you add a percentage, the amount you have is 100%. In other words, this 110 is 100%. So now hence we say, when we're calculating VAT, we say 100 times by 15 over 100. We divide by 100. Why? Because this amount is out of 100%. So now hence we say 110. Hence we say 110 times by 15 over 100. The 110 does not include VAT. Remember that the 110 does not include VAT. So since the 110 does not include VAT, that means the 110 is out of 100%. It's before the 15% was added. So hence we say now 110 times by 15 over 100. So we divide by the percentage of the amount that we have. And I said to you once again, the amount before you add a percentage, meaning the amount that is exclusive of the percentage of VAT or whatever percentage, it is always out of 100%. But this one already includes the percentage of VAT. It is the amount inclusive of VAT, meaning VAT was already included. And we have included that VAT, which is 16 rand 50 cents by ourselves. So now hence when we want to calculate the VAT that is already included inside, then you must say times by 15 over 115. I hope with those words I have made myself very clear for the first one. Now the first one gives us the foundation of the other questions and other questions to follow. So hence I put more emphasis on this one, because we'll be using the same principle now, going back and forth. Now in the second scenario, we are given a markup percentage of 25%, and we don't know the cost price, a question mark, very strange. Second one, we don't know the profit also, and for this one we don't know the selling price, we don't know the VAT amount, and we are given the selling price that include VAT. We must calculate now backwards up to where? To the cost price. Now before we do that, let me just recap again with the previous 10% portion, so that it becomes easier for us to flow. Now if we were able to get into here, remember we can get from here back up to here, then after we can move and from here and jump to there. So now let us see if that is possible first in the first scenario, so that in the second scenario it becomes easier. Remember we said we have this selling price that exclude VAT. So this selling price is 100% before VAT was included. When I'm saying 100%, I'm referring to the 100% before VAT was included. Now we are moving backwards. We said the 126 is out of 115% because we have already added 15%. Now I want to move before VAT was included at 100% in there. Before we said plus 15%. Now how do we go about doing that? Let us go and do that now and see if can we get to the 110 before VAT was included. Now let us do that, meaning it will be 126.50 times by, what are we looking for? We are looking for the selling price before VAT was included. And I said before you add a percentage, the amount is 100%. So now we are looking for the amount which is 100%. That's what we are looking for. Previously, remember, we were looking for VAT. We multiplied by 15. Now we are not looking for 15%. We are looking for 100%, which is before VAT was included. So we multiply by the percentage of the amount we are looking for. The percentage of the selling price before VAT was included is 100%. As I always said to you, that the amount before any percentage is added is 100%. Now we multiply by 100, we divide by the percentage of the amount that we are multiplying by. Remember, in this case, the amount that we have, which we multiply by, is that 126.50. So now, in other words, we say 100 over 115 times by 126.50. This 126.50 is the one that is out of 115%, because we have already added the VAT of 15% in there. Now that means, in simple terms, what do? We divide by 115, then this gives us exactly 110. At the same time, we can use the same approach of that 1.15. I said to you 110 times by 1.15 will give you 126.50. Remember, jumping from here, cost price 100%, jumping there to the selling price after VAT was included. We can just multiply by 1.15. So now, if we did say 110 times by 1.15, it gave us 126.50. We can just say divide by 1.15 to get back to 110. So now we can just take this amount and divide by 1.15, which is what we multiplied with. It will give us the cost price before the VAT was included. Now let us go back to the second part. Now we are sitting in here. We want to jump where? To the cost price before markup was included. Now we have to say we want to know the cost price, or the original amount, before the profit percentage was included, of which the profit percentage, it is the markup. And we know that what are we looking for? We are looking for the cost price. In other words, I want to know the 100 rand, which I already know. Therefore, now how do I do that? I have to say, okay, what am I looking for? I am looking for the 100 rand, or the amount which is before 10% was added. And the amount before 10% was added is 100%. So now I have to say 110, which is the amount that I have. Remember, in this case, this is what I have, and I want to get to what I don't know, which I know already is 100. Now I'm proving the 100, that it is 100 before the 10% was added. I'm saying 110, which include the 10% times by 100. What I'm looking for the cost price before 10% was added. I divide by 110. Why 110? 110 is not this 110, but it is 110% because we have added 10% to the cost price. Therefore, now this amount became 110%. So hence I'm dividing by 110 in order for me to get to the original amount of 100 rand. At the same time, if you remember, I think I would have also said this in the beginning, that we can say this is 1.10. Same principle of saying 100% cost price before markup was added plus 10%, that is 110 divided by 100. This is 1.1. So the 110% we have is the same as 1.1, which we could have said 100, which is 100 rand of the cost price, times by 1.10, that would have given us 110 rand. So that's how we got to this 110 rand in the other simplified version. So now if we multiplied to get here, we divide to go back, divide by 1.10, that gave us back the 100 rand. So either way you choose, and choose the best method that is easier for you, as long at the end of the day you get the same amount. Therefore the 110 minus 100 will give us the 10 rand. At the same time, we can still be able to calculate the 10 rand. How can we be able to calculate the 10 rand from 110? Now, if we have this 110 and we want to know how much is our profit, assuming that you don't know the 100, obviously, if you know the 100, it will be 100 minus 110, it give you the 10 rand. If we don't know the 100, but we are given the amount that include the 10% of the markup, and want to know how much was the markup percentage, then now we are, or the markup amount, which the percentage, we know that it is 10%. So what do we have? We have the 10%, we have the 110 rand, and we need to know how much was the cost before 10 rand was added, and how much is the 10 rand first of all. We're looking for that 10 rand profit. Then from that 10 rand, we can minus and go back to the 100 rand. So that will be 110. We know 110 is after 10% was added. What are we looking for? We are looking for the profit. We multiply by 10. Our profit is 10%. That's the 10 we multiply by, not 10 rand, by 10 as 10%. Then we divide by 110 because the 110 is out of 110%. Then this will be equal 10 rand. So that is how you get the 10 rand. Similar to the same methodology or same method of calculating VAT. Now let us proceed further to number 2, where it is 25% markup. What are we given? We are given 500 rand, which is the selling price after VAT was included. We are given 500, which is after VAT was included. Now, if after VAT was included, that means VAT was included, and we know that our VAT was 15%. Just want to put that one in there and say this was at 10%, then another calculation of 25 workings will be done above. Then we are dealing with the 25% of the markup on cost. Then now we go on that same mode, or on that same note, we have the 500. What are we looking for? We are looking for the amount of VAT amount first. We know sure that this 500 is out of 115. It does not change because we added 15%. If this is the selling price including VAT is 500, that means obviously percentage wise, this 500 is out of 115%. So now what are we looking for? We are looking for 15% out of the amount that is 115. So now what do we do? Very easy. We say 500 times by 15 divide by 115. It gives us 65 rand 22 cents. Let us verify that. 500 times by 15 divided by 115, it gives us 65 rand 22 cents. So now we are going to round off to 2 decimal places. This is 65 rand 21 cents, 22 cents, rounding off to 2 decimal places. That is for another subject, rounding off. If the number after the second decimal is more than 5 up to 9, then the number before that will get to be increased by 2. So hence 65 rand 22 cents. So we did get to the VAT amount. Now we need to know how much was the amount before VAT was added. If you want, you can just say in the VAT amount minus 500. Let us verify it both ways. Minus 500. How much do we get? It gives us 434 rand 78 cents. 34.78 cents. So now, in other words, that means we have to say 500 times by 100 divided by 115 if we want it the other way. 434.78. It does not matter either you say this minus this, or you say 500 times by 100 divided by 114. Remember now, that will mean the selling price before VAT was included, it is out of 100%. It is out of 100%. So we are looking for the selling price before VAT was included. So that will mean the selling price will be out of 100%. Hence, we say 500 times by 100, looking for the one that is 100%. That's what you're looking for. You always multiply by what you are looking for and divide by the percentage of the amount that you have, which in this case, it is 500, and the percentage of 500 is 115 because 15% of VAT was already added. So now we continue on that same note. We go to the next part of the question. Then now we come here. Remember, there is always this line. Now we have the amount after 25% was added. Let us be clear on that. 25% was added on the cost price. Then we got to the selling price. Now we have to go back and say this amount is out of 125%. Let us agree on that. We have 100 rand. Sorry, we have 100% in here. Always. Now what are we adding? We are adding 25%. Why 25%? Because that's where we are. Our markup percentage is at 25%. So that means percentage wise, this column is out of 125. Remember, the percentage for VAT remains at 15%. The markup can depend on the company or on the product. So now in this case, we have dealt with we are dealing with the 25% markup. So in other words, we said the cost price, we added 25%, and this is the 25% profit that we are talking about. Therefore, now the selling price before VAT was added will be out of 125%. So this amount is out of 125%. What are we looking for? We are looking for the 25%, and this 25% is already included in the selling price of 434.78. So now we want to know how much this profit, which was added already in this 434.78. So this is what we are looking for. Let us test our calculation. 434.78 times by 25 divide by 125. I hope you mastered that. So this will be 86 rand. This will be 86 rand 96 cents. 96 cents, rounding off, guys, is for another subject. I won't be dealing with the rounding off here. Then now that will be 86 rand 96 cents. Now that is the profit that was added. So now we need to say this minus the profit will give us the cost price. Then we say minus 434.78. This gives us 347.82. There might be some rounding off difference. There might be some rounding off difference. 347.82. At the same time, we can just say 434.78 times. What are we looking for? We are looking for the cost price, which is 100%. We are looking for the cost price, which is 100%. Then now the amount which we have is out of 125. We are looking for 100% out of the column that is 125 because we added obviously 25%. Therefore now that will mean we say 434.78 times by 100 divided by 125. Then this will give us 347.82, exactly the same way. Please don't forget that we can still say 434.78 divided by 1.25. I hope you understand what is 1.25. 1.25 is 125%. Remember, 125% equals 125 divided by 100, and this will be 1.25. So now we would have multiplied by 1.25 in order to get here. We would have said this amount times by 1.25. You can test that. That will give you exactly 437. So we just divide in order to get back to the original amount before we multiply by 1.25. So please be able to convert percentages into decimal figures and just multiply to get to the amount after the percentage was added. So we are now under the third question, or the third scenario. Third scenario, we are therefore now dealing with the third scenario, and the third scenario is markup percentage being 50%. What do we have now? We have the profit, the second column. We have the profit, which exclude VAT. We have the profit. Now, what are we looking for? We are looking for all other columns. We can get to here, we can get to here. Then, when we are here, we can get to here and get to there. So let us deal with the next cells first. We need to say, what is the percentage of what we have? What is the percentage of what we have? We have 750, and 750 is 50%. Remember, we add markup on cost. Remember, this 10 rand was 10% and is still 10%. I just forgot to write, but it was 10% in the first scenario. Remember, in this scenario, our markup is at 50%. So now we are sitting here at 50%. So let us again move together in this note. What are we looking for? We are looking for the cost price. Remember, the cost price is always 100%. The amount before you add the percentage is 100%. So now we are moving upwards at 50%. And we know that will be 50% plus 100% because the cost price is 100%. Then this will mean in this column we are going to have 150%. This column will be out of 150%. So here we have added 50%. The 50% is the one that is a markup. That is where we are sitting. We say 100 plus 50 will give us 150. Then now we are sitting in this 50 percentile column where we have 750 rands. Let us go together. Now, what are we looking for? Let us start with the cost price or also the selling price, but let me begin with the cost price. What are we looking for? We are looking for the cost price. The cost price is before 50% was added. If we agree on that, it then becomes easier. So we say 750 times by 100. That is what we are looking for. We take the amount that we have, we multiply by what we are looking for. Or else we can say 100 divide by the percentage of the amount we have. We divide by the percentage of the amount we have. The amount we have is 750. The percentage of 750 is 50% because the markup is 50%, and that is what we call the profit when we multiply it by the cost price. So now we divide by the percentage of the amount that we have, and this is 50%. So we say 100, which is what we are looking for, cost price being 100%, multiply that or divide by 50, multiply that by the percentage of what we have, then this will give us 1,500. That means the cost price is 1,500 rands. Then at the same time, we could have started with this one and say, what are we looking for? We are looking for the 150%. So we'll have to say 150 divide by 50. Remember, 50 is the percentage of the amount that we have. Then we multiply this by 750. This will give us 2,250. Now let us test this principle to the first question. Now in the first question we had this 10 rand. Let us use the same 10 rand we have and find the 100 rand. Let us use the 10 find the 100 rand and the 10 to find the 110. Now we know that the 10 is 10%. Obviously, we already know that the markup there was 10%. So now how do we do the calculation for this? Very simple. We do say what are we looking for? Let us start with the cost price. The cost price is 100. We say 100 divide by the percentage of this 10 rand. The percentage of this 10 rand is 10%. So we divide by 10, then we multiply by the 10 rand. Then that will give us 100 rand. What are we looking for? We are looking for 100 and we multiply by 100, or we say 10 times by 100, divide by 10, because that is the percentage of what we have. So that gave us 100. Now if we are looking for the selling price, which is the 110, from the 10 rand, we are going to say 10 rand times by what we are looking for, and the percentage of what we are looking for. After the percentage was added, it will be 110. So we multiply by 110, divide by 10. This gives us 110. So that is as simple as like that. Even if we can test with the second one, it will give us the same thing. Let us try it. 86.96 multiply. What are we looking for? Let us start with the selling price. We are looking for the selling price that is out of 125 before 25 was added under scenario number 2. It will be times by 125, what we're looking for, divide by the percentage of what we have. The percentage of this, the percentage of 86.96 is 25%. So we divide by 25. This gives us 20. That is not correct. That is not correct. That will be 86.96. We multiply that by 125, which is number 2, what we're looking for. We divide by the percentage of the amount we have, and the percentage of the 86.96 is 25. So we divide by 25. It gave us 434.80. There was 434.80, just rounding off, hence it goes to 80. But it's 434.80 out. If I had taken all the decimals or numbers after the 86.96, it will give us exactly with the same decimals. So that is 434.80 or 78, as we have seen in our calculations. So I just want to test this in all the questions. In other words, one question is one question here. They just gave us different version. We can calculate everything that is required in other questions in one question. I just not want to take too much time, but go and verify with you all these numbers. Now we want to calculate obviously the VAT and the amount after VAT was added. Then let us go there now and say 2,250 times by 1.15. If you say 1.15, remember we have already added 15% to 100%. So now the amount that we are getting is 2,250 times by 1.15. The amount that we are getting is after VAT was added. So now that means it will be selling price including VAT. That will be 2,587 rand 50 cents. So this is the amount that includes VAT. At the same time, we could have said 2,250 times by 0.15, which is 15%. That will give us an amount of VAT, which is 337.50. The customer is paying this amount, and this amount is going to SARS as their VAT amount. Now, this means we have to say 337.50 plus 2,250. Then this will be 2,587.50, which is the amount that is inclusive of VAT. So either way, you always get to the same answers. Always get to the same answers. Now again, the 2,587 divided by 1.15 will give us the 2,250, meaning the amount before VAT was added. And you can test again all the calculation that I did before, jumping from here to that one, from that one to that one. That will help you master this topic very, very well. Now we go on that same note to the second last one. I hope within 1 hour I will be done. Then after we will go to the next one. Then we have now the question mark when it comes to the profit percentage or the markup percentage. The markup percentage is not provided for us, and this is not something that I wanted to test to you. I would like to begin with the one that that has a percentage once again, or let us just go to the previous one so that you see how the percentage are coming from. In the first one, we have the 10 rand. If you set 10 rand divided by 100 rand, that will give you 10%, or 0.10 times by 100. This will be 10%. So if we did not have the 10% in here, and we had the 10 rand and the cost price, 10 rand being the profit, calculated from the cost, it will be 10 rand divided by 100 rand, which is cost price, times by 100, that will give you 10%. So if we can get to this and to this, we will know the markup percentage in there. So what do we have? We have two figures, the 4,000, which is the profit, and the amount that include VAT. All other columns are left wandering alone. We have 10% profit, and then after we have the amount that includes VAT. Now let us go there and do our calculation. Let us go there and do our calculations. Then now we are provided with these two: 8,000 selling price including VAT, 4,000 profit amount calculated from the cost price. Now let me just jump in between. We can use any one, remember, we can use any one. Let us start with the 8,000 of VAT, and from here we know that we can just change the color. We know that we can jump from 8,000 to the amount that excludes VAT, and from here jump to the cost price. Now let us do that test and see if that is possible. Remember, in other words, now when we jump from here to here, we are looking for 100%, meaning the amount before the percentage was added, it is 100%. And we jump from year to year, which is the cost price before the markup percentage, which we don't know was added. But we don't know the markup yet, so that will be difficult. So we can't be able to calculate because we don't know what was the markup that was added in order to get the 4,000. So that will mean we'll have to work from this amount that we have and see how we can get back in there. Then after we do the rest of the calculations. Now let us do the our calculations once again. We have the 8,000. The 8,000 is 8,000 rands times by 100 divided by 115. This is 6,956.52. Why are we saying 8,000? We're saying 8,000 times by 100, looking for the amount before the VAT was added, divide by the 8,000, which is 115%. This gives us 6,956.52. Now, very important to strike the difference between the two. The difference between the two is our VAT amount of 1,042, sorry, 1,043.48, rounding off to 2 decimal places. Then we could have said 8,000 times by 15 divided by 115. So that will be 1,043 rand 47 or 48 cents. So we could get to the same amount of VAT. It doesn't matter how you calculated it. So I'm just showing you all these dynamics. Then we know that in order for us to get here, we said the cost price plus the markup that gave us the selling price that exclude VAT. So we know how to get in there, which is the 10 rand plus the previous 100 rand, and this gave us the 110. The first scenario, we said the 100 rand plus the 10 rand, it gave us 110. So as I'm saying, similarly to you, we said the cost price, which we don't know, plus the profit that will give us the selling price before VAT. So percentage wise, we don't know this percent, and meaning I said to you, we can't jump from year to year because we don't know what percentage is this amount before the markup, what that we don't know was added. So now we need to use, in this case, the equation where we have to say cost price. Oh, I saved this. We have to say cost price plus 4,000 rands. Remember, I don't know the cost price is equal to 6,956 rand 52 cents. Remember to take all the decimals into account because the answer won't be very perfectly correct because of the rounding of the decimal places. But I will still just write without all the decimals. Then that means our cost price will be equal to 6,956.52 minus, remember, this now must go over the equal sign. All the like terms, I think mathematically these are called like terms, must be put on the same side. So now all the numbers on one side, the unknown, which is cost price, on the side before the equal sign. 6,956.52 minus 4,000 rands. This gives us an amount of 2,956 rand 52 cents. So this must have been our cost price, which was not provided. So this is our cost price that is sitting on this column of the cost price, 2,956.52, which was calculated from the 6,956.52 minus 4,000 rands, just to verify, 2,956.52. So that will be that will be, or those will be our calculation of the cost price. Now we need to get to the markup percentage. Markup percentage will be 4,000, or sorry, will be 4,000 divided by 4,000 divided by 2,956. Then that will be 4,000 divided by 2,956.52 equals times by 100. This is 135%. So now that means this was out of 135%. This was 135%. Let me just verify. Cost price plus the markup of 4,000 is equal to 6,956.52, and we said cost price plus that is equal to selling price excluding VAT 6,956. Then that means it goes there, it becomes negative. Therefore 2,000 is our cost price. So that is how we got to calculate our numbers. That is how we got to the markup percentage of 135%. Then we have 120%. The only difference will be little smaller rounding off. Then we get to 120%. Now the amount that we have is very far. The amount we have is very far. Yes, at the end, once again, we have the markup percentage, which is 120. That will be 220 when we add it to 100. Remember previously we said 100% plus 10, it gave us 110%. Now we have 120. We have 100% plus 120, it will give us 220%. So now our markup is above 100. So that means it will be 100 plus 120. That means it will be 220. When you multiply by the decimal, it will be 220 divided by 100, and that is 2.2. That is 2.2. But that will be explained a little bit further later on in this question. Now on that same note, we continue and we do calculate the VAT amount. We are given the amount that includes VAT, which is 2,200. Then what do? We just say 2,200 times by 15 divided by 115. It gives us the VAT amount. VAT amount is 286 rand 96 cents. 86 rand 96 cents minus 2,200. This gives us 1,000. The amount before VAT was added to 1,913 rand 4 cents. That is the 100%. Let us jump to the 1,913. 2,200 rands times by 100. We're looking for the amount before VAT was added, and that amount is 100%. Divide by the amount that we have, percentage of the amount that we have, which is 115. That gives us 1,913.04. Same method. Then now we know that in order for us to get into here, we said 220%, which is 220 divided by 100, will give us 2.2. Just verify that. 220 divided by 100 will give us 2.2. So now we can jump from here to here. Let us see if can we get to that 100% of the cost price before VAT was added. This is 1,913.04 divided by 2.2. That will give us 869 rand 56 cents. So now we already know the difference will give us the profit. That will be minus 1913.04. Then this will be the amount of the profit, 1043 rand 48 cents. So that will be the amount of the profit that we are going to get, 1000. Very, 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 very high profit, double more than the amount, similar to the 2900 we had in here. That 2.9 something of the cost price that we calculated, please see the calculation we calculated, it was 135%. So hence you could say that it was double. It was more than the amount. It was 4,000 something. That was above 100%. So hence it went to 4,000. Now with those words, guys, thank you very much. I did more explanation on the first one and the second one and gave you all the details, and you could apply them throughout. It's only the second last one where there was no percentage, where it was a little bit tricky to get to the markup percentage on cost price. With those words, guys, thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. I hope this was very useful. I will record another video on VAT, but it will be very simple. This is very comprehensive. It makes you understand the numbers and the percentages, the additions and the subtraction, the multiplication and the divisions. With those words, have a wonderful study period.